The sky over planet Zalara 9 was dark, silent, and full of stars. Ethan Cole stood outside his small metal outpost, sipping water from a silver cup. The desert was cold at night, and strong winds moved the sand like waves in the ocean. Ethan was a mechanic. He lived alone on the edge of the human colony, far from the main city. He liked the quiet. Machines didn't lie, and sandstorms didn't talk. But something strange happened that night. Suddenly, the sky lit up with a bright orange flash. A fireball raced across the stars, burning hot and fast. It screamed as it fell, crashing deep into the desert with a loud boom. The ground shook a little. Ethan dropped his cup. He stared at the glowing trail in the sky. "That's not a meteor," he said to himself. "That was a ship." Without waiting, he grabbed his bag, jumped into his old desert rover, and started driving toward the crash. The rover bounced over rocks and hills, but Ethan didn't stop. His heart beat fast. What had fallen from the sky? After 1 hour, he reached the crash site. A small ship was half buried in the sand. Smoke rose from the broken engine. The front glass was cracked, and the door was open. Ethan climbed inside carefully. The lights inside flickered. Sparks flew from the walls. He saw strange symbols glowing in blue. This wasn't a human ship. Then he saw her. A woman lay on the floor, not moving. Her skin was silver blue, and her long black hair floated slightly, like it was light as air. She wore a strange dark suit that looked like armor but was soft like cloth. Her face was calm, but she was hurt. There was blood on her shoulder, and her breathing was weak. Ethan knelt beside her. "Hey, are you alive?" She didn't answer. He checked her pulse. It was slow, but still there. She needed help fast. Ethan lifted her carefully and took her to the rover. She was light, lighter than a human. He placed her in the seat and covered her with his jacket. Then he turned the rover around and drove back through the desert. Back at his outpost, Ethan placed her on his work table. He used his med kit to clean her wounds. The tools beeped and scanned her body. It wasn't easy. Her biology was different. But some things were the same. Blood flow, muscle damage, broken ribs. He wrapped her side with bandages and injected her with a healing agent. The machine said she had a good chance of recovery. Ethan sat down, tired. He looked at the alien woman and whispered, "Who are you? And why did you crash here?" That night he slept on the floor, close to the table, just in case she woke up or something went wrong. In the morning, she opened her eyes. Blue, bright, glowing blue. She looked around, confused and scared. Then she saw Ethan. She tried to speak, but her words were soft and strange. "It's okay," Ethan said gently. He raised his hands slowly. "You're safe. I helped you." She sat up slowly, holding her side. Her eyes studied the room, then focused back on him. She pointed at herself. "Zira," she said. Ethan smiled. "I'm Ethan." She pointed at him. "Ethan," he nodded. "That's right. Ethan." For the next few hours, she rested. She couldn't say much, but she understood a little. Ethan brought her water and food. She looked at the food strangely, then tasted it carefully. She gave a small nod, meaning it was okay. Later, she showed him a small device from her suit. It was broken, but Ethan fixed it. When she turned it on, it gave a soft beep and projected a small screen. Symbols appeared. She pressed a few buttons. A voice came out, speaking in slow English. "I am not from your world. I need help." Ethan looked at her, surprised. "Yeah, I figured." She looked weak, but her eyes were strong. She seemed thankful. She nodded and touched his hand lightly. Suddenly, a warning alarm beeped on Ethan's screen. He ran to the control panel. A group of ships had entered the sky above Zalara 9. Unknown signal, fast speed, not from the colony. He looked at Zira. She looked back with fear in her eyes. "Someone's looking for you, aren't they?" Ethan said. She didn't answer, but her eyes said yes. Ethan stared at the map. The ships were scanning the area. They would be here soon. He turned to her. If they're coming for you, then we have to move. I don't know who you are, Zira, but I'm not going to let them take you. She blinked slowly, as if surprised by his words. Ethan started packing supplies. He didn't know what was going to happen next, but he had made his choice. The desert sun was already high in the sky when Ethan packed the last box into his rover. Inside the outpost, Zira sat quietly, looking out the window. She wore a hooded cloak to cover her glowing skin. She looked better now, stronger, but her eyes still held fear. Ethan entered the room. "We're ready to leave," he said. Zira stood slowly. "Where?" "Canyon area west of here," Ethan replied. "There are old caves and tunnels from mining days. No one goes there now." "It's safe," Zira gave a small nod. She walked beside him to the rover, moving carefully, still a little weak from the crash. As they drove across the dry land, dust clouds rose behind the rover's wheels. The journey was quiet. Neither of them spoke much. But inside, both minds were busy. Ethan kept checking the sky. His scanner showed no ships, but he didn't trust silence. Trouble often came quietly. Zira looked down at her small wrist device. Her fingers tapped lightly, trying to fix something. She frowned and stopped. The device was not working right. After 2 hours, they reached a narrow path between sharp rocks. Ethan parked the rover and pointed ahead. "There's a cave behind those stones. I used it once to hide from a sandstorm," he said. They moved the rocks aside and stepped inside the cool darkness. The cave was dry and deep, with smooth walls and a flat floor. Ethan set up a small light and placed supplies in the corner. Zira sat down slowly. "This place is good," Ethan nodded. "Better than the outpost." For a while they rested. Then Zira turned on her translator device. She looked at Ethan. "I must tell you something," she said, slowly and clearly. Ethan looked curious. "What is it?" She hesitated, then spoke. "I was not just flying across the stars. I was running from someone." "Who?" Ethan asked. She pointed to the sky. "Hunters, rebels, bad people. They want to capture me, or worse." Ethan leaned forward. "Why are they chasing you?" Zira looked into his eyes. "Because I'm not just Zira. I am Princess Zira of Valari Prime." Ethan blinked. "Princess?" Zira nodded. "My world is in danger. My family rules with peace, but the rebels want war. They attacked the palace. I escaped." Ethan stayed silent for a moment. "So, if they catch you, they take over your planet?" "Yes," she answered. "If I disappear, the people lose hope. The rebels will control everything." Ethan looked, down at the ground, then back at her. "Well, you're not disappearing. Not while I'm here." Zira smiled faintly. "Thank you, Ethan." Suddenly, a soft beep came from her wrist device. Zira's smile vanished. "What's wrong?" Ethan asked quickly. Zira touched the screen. "The tracker." It turned on. "I didn't press anything." Ethan jumped to his feet. He ran outside the cave and checked the sky with his scanner. A red dot blinked on the screen. "They found us," he said. "A ship is coming." Zira stood up fast. "We must move." Ethan thought fast. "No, if we run, they'll follow. We stay hidden. We make them come to us." Zira looked unsure. "We don't have weapons." Ethan gave a small grin. "We have brains. That's enough." That night, they set up simple traps using wires, rocks, and old tools Ethan carried. He taught Zira how to block the cave entrance with sand and noise detectors. She used her small powers to move stones without touching them, placing them in smart positions. "I didn't think I'd be fighting with a princess in a cave," Ethan said with a laugh. Zira gave a soft smile. "And I never thought I'd trust." a human from the desert. They sat close together near the cave wall, waiting. Time passed slowly. Then came the sound, low and heavy. A small black ship landed outside the canyon. Lights moved in the dark. 3 tall hunters walked toward the cave, wearing black armor with red visors. They held weapons, and they looked ready for anything. Inside, Zira whispered, "It's them." Ethan whispered back, "Then let's welcome them." As the hunters neared the entrance, one of them stepped on a hidden wire. A loud crack filled the air as rocks fell from above. 2 hunters jumped back. One got hit and fell. The other 2 entered the cave slowly. Ethan threw a flash bomb. The light blinded them for a moment. Zira used her power to push a large stone forward, knocking one of them to the ground. The last hunter raised his weapon. Ethan rolled forward and hit his hand with a metal rod. The weapon flew out. The 2 men fought in the dirt. Fists, elbows, shouts. Zira helped. She used her power again to hold the hunter still. Ethan gave one final punch, and the hunter dropped. Silence returned. Ethan stood, breathing hard. Zira looked at the fallen hunters, then at Ethan. "We did it," Ethan smiled. "Yeah, we're still alive." Zira nodded slowly. "But more will come." Ethan looked out at the stars above. "Then we prepare. We don't give up." Zira stared at him. Her voice was soft. "You don't even know me. Why are you helping me so much?" Ethan looked back at her and said simply, "Because no one should have to face the dark alone." The cave was quiet again. 3 enemy hunters now lay tied up with ropes made from old wires and belts. Ethan checked their armor and weapons. "High-grade tech," he muttered. "These guys weren't just scouts. They were professionals." Zira stood nearby, arms crossed, her face calm but serious. She was watching the stars through the opening in the cave wall. The cool night wind touched her face, but her thoughts were heavy. Ethan walked over to her. "They'll send more, won't they?" Zira nodded slowly. "Yes. That was only the beginning." Ethan sat down beside her. "Then we need a plan, and I need to know everything." She looked at him. "I already told you I'm a princess." "You did," Ethan replied. "But I think there's more." Zira took a deep breath. The translator on her wrist glowed softly. She began to speak. "My real name is Zira Valerian. I am the daughter of King Haler of Valari Prime. My planet is one of the oldest and most peaceful in the galaxy. For many years we lived in harmony, sharing knowledge and energy with nearby star systems." Ethan listened closely, nodding. "But not all were happy with peace," she continued. "A high-ranking general named Korvek wanted to rule with fear and power. He believed we should stop sharing with others and start building weapons instead. So, he rebelled?" Ethan guessed. "Yes," Zira said. "He started a silent revolution. At first it was just whispers. Then suddenly it became war. He attacked the palace with his private army. My parents helped me escape in a hidden ship. I was supposed to reach one of our safe stations, but he found me." Ethan leaned forward. "That's when your ship crashed on Zalara 9? She nodded. "I was lucky it didn't explode. Even more lucky, you found me." Ethan rubbed his chin. "If Korvek captures you, he'll take the throne?" Zira's voice grew softer. "Yes. If the people believe I'm gone, they'll lose hope. Many will follow him out of fear." Ethan stood and walked to the cave entrance. He stared out into the dark canyon. "This isn't just about you anymore," he said. "It's about your world. Your people." Zira joined him. "I know." Ethan turned to her. "Then let's stop hiding. Let's fight back." Zira looked surprised. "Fight back? You're just one man." Ethan smiled. "One man with a loud signal, a working mind, and a brave friend who can move stones with her mind. Zira smiled back. You are crazy. Maybe, Ethan said, but it's better than waiting to be caught. The next day, Ethan and Zira moved through the canyon to an old mining tower hidden inside a rocky hill. Ethan had worked there before, during his early days on Zalara 9. Most people had forgotten about it, but Ethan remembered every door and hallway. This place has a long-range signal tower, Ethan said. If we can fix it, we can call for help. Zira nodded. Can you fix it? I can fix anything, Ethan said with a grin. They climbed the rusted stairs and reached the dusty control room. Screens were broken, wires were loose, the signal dish outside was bent. But Ethan smiled like a man who saw treasure. It's old, he said, but not dead. He worked for hours while Zira watched the sky for any sign of enemy ships. She also placed warning stones at the tower entrance. If someone stepped near them, they would glow and make a sound. Ethan finally connected the main cable. The screen flickered and turned blue. A soft beep filled the room. We're online, Ethan said proudly. Zira walked over. Can we reach Valari? Not directly, he said, but we can send a short signal. If your people are still listening, they'll hear it. Zira touched the control panel. She sent a coded message in her language. Her voice was soft but full of strength. This is Princess Zira of Valari Prime. I am alive. I was attacked by Korvek's forces. I request immediate help. Coordinates locked. Signal clear. The message ended. Now they could only wait. Night came again. The wind blew harder now. Clouds began to cover the stars. Inside the tower, Ethan sat by the window holding a cup of warm tea. Zira sat beside him, looking tired but peaceful. Do you think they heard you? Ethan asked. I hope so, Zira replied. My people are loyal. If they know I'm alive, they'll come. Ethan stared at the dark sky. Let's just hope they come before Korvek does. Suddenly, Zira's wrist device beeped again, but this time, it was not the tracker. She looked at the screen. Her eyes widened. Ethan stood. What is it? Zira showed him the message. Royal Guard signal received. Ship en route. ETA. 1 day. Ethan smiled. Looks like help is coming. But just as they relaxed, a second warning flashed on the screen. Enemy. Warship detected. Distance. 1,000 kilometers and closing. Ethan's face turned serious. We're not alone anymore. Zira stood tall. Then we must be ready. This time, we fight together. The early morning wind blew softly through the canyon. A quiet peace filled the air, but Ethan Cole didn't feel calm. He stared at Zira's wrist device. The blinking red light meant only one thing. They're coming, he said. Zira looked down at the tracker. Her voice was full of guilt. I didn't know it was still active. It's not your fault, Ethan replied. We still have time to move. He opened the map on his tablet. The closest safe place was an old mining base in the mountains. Left behind by Earth's first settlers, it was hidden, built like a bunker, and had machines that still worked. We'll go there, Ethan said. I worked in that base before. We can defend it. Zira touched his arm. You could leave me? Save yourself. Ethan gave her a hard look. I didn't save you just to leave you now. Zira smiled slightly. Then we fight together. They drove through rough paths, crossed dry rivers, and reached the mountain base just before sunset. The old metal doors were rusty, but Ethan knew the codes. With a loud creak, the doors opened, revealing dark halls and quiet machines. Inside, they found broken robots, dusty tools, and long halls of stone and steel. Ethan quickly powered up the control room. Lights flickered. Old screens came to life. He checked security systems, power levels, and storage units. This place is strong, Ethan said. We can hold them off. Zira walked slowly through the base. She could feel the heavy silence. Can this place stop a warship? Ethan shook his head. Not the ship, but they'll send soldiers first. If we win that fight, maybe we'll have time for rescue. Zira helped as much as she could. She charged the old energy cannons with her power. She placed rocks and metal to block weak doors. Ethan used his tools to fix the turrets near the front gate. The hours passed. They worked without rest. Side by side, they built their last stand. When the sky turned dark, Ethan sat down for a moment, wiping sweat from his face. Zira sat beside him. "You are brave, Ethan. My people would honor someone like you." He smiled. "I'm just a mechanic, not a hero." "But you chose to fight for someone not your own," she said softly. "That makes you more than a hero." They sat in silence for a while. Then the alarm sounded. "Warning! Enemy ship approaching!" Ethan stood. "Here we go." The rebel ship hovered over the mountain. It didn't fire from the air. Instead, it dropped black landing pods. Dozens of soldiers in dark armor stepped out and marched toward the base. Ethan stood behind the control desk. "They brought a small army." Zira joined him. Her hands glowed. Her eyes were calm. The soldiers reached the front gate. One of them shouted, "You are hiding the princess! Give her to us now, and we will let you live." Ethan replied through the speaker. "No deal." The soldiers charged. The battle began. The first wave hit the gate. The turrets fired, knocking some down. Zira used her powers to lift steel beams and throw them like spears. Ethan controlled the drones from the control room. They flew out, attacking from above. But more soldiers kept coming. One group blasted a side door. Ethan rushed there, holding his blaster. He fought with skill and courage, using every trick he knew. He placed traps, dropped wires, and led them into tight halls where they couldn't move well. Zira stood in the center hall. Energy flowed around her hands like blue fire. She stopped the second wave almost alone. Her body glowed, and her voice rang with strength. But it was not easy. More enemies arrived. Ethan was hit on his arm. Blood flowed, but he kept fighting. Zira's power began to weaken. Her body shook. Her hands dimmed. They were getting tired. Then, as all seemed lost, a loud sound came from the sky. Another ship, but this one was different. Golden in color, smooth and fast. Zira looked up. Her eyes widened with hope. "My people," she whispered. The golden ship fired a light beam at the rebels, forcing them back. A message echoed across the land. "This is the Royal Guard of Valari Prime. The princess is under our protection. Stand down." The rebels ran. Some surrendered. Some were taken. Zira dropped to her knees, exhausted. Ethan rushed to her. "Zira, are you okay?" She smiled, weak but alive. "We made it." Ethan helped her stand. Together they walked out of the base, side by side. The golden ship stood tall in the mountain valley, shining in the morning sun. Its smooth surface reflected light like a mirror, and symbols from the Valari language glowed across its side. It was not a warship. It was royal, full of grace and power. Ethan stood at the top of the mining base, his arms still wrapped in bandages. His eyes followed the ship as a group of soldiers stepped out in perfect formation. Their armor was light blue, marked with a silver crest, a circle of stars around a crown. Zira stood beside him, her strength slowly returning. She wore a white robe now, given by her guards, a symbol of peace. Her eyes were calm, but deep inside, she felt many emotions, relief, sadness, and something else. Something new. An officer from the ship stepped forward and bowed deeply. "Your Highness, we came as soon as we received your signal. Your people are safe. The rebels are falling back." Zira nodded. "Thank you. You came just in time." The officer looked at Ethan. "And this human? He protected you?" Zira smiled. "He didn't just protect me. He saved me." Later that day, the royal ship flew across the stars, heading toward Valari Prime. Ethan stood near the wide windows, looking at the endless space. It felt strange. 1 week ago, he was fixing old machines in a desert. Now, he was flying beside a princess, going to a world he had never heard of before. Zira walked in quietly and stood beside him. "Are you feeling better?" Ethan asked. She nodded. "Yes, thanks to you." He looked at her. "So, what happens now? Will they make you queen?" She shook her head. "Not yet. My father still lives, but the people need to see hope again. They need to know that the royal family stands strong." Ethan gave a small smile. "They're lucky to have you." Zira turned to face him. "And I was lucky to have you. You saved my life, my freedom, maybe even my world." Ethan looked down. "I just did what I thought was right." Zira stepped closer. "That's what makes it special." When they landed on Valari Prime, Ethan was stunned. The city was made of crystal towers, floating bridges, and glowing gardens. The sky had 2 moons, and the air smelled like fresh flowers. People wore long robes, and some even had soft glowing marks on their faces. A large crowd waited at the royal palace gates. When Zira stepped out, the people cheered loudly. Some cried, others threw flowers in the air. Zira raised her hand and spoke in her own language. Then she pointed at Ethan and said something to the crowd. A moment later, her translator whispered. To him, she says, "This human saved our future. He is not just a visitor. He is our honored protector." Ethan felt shy, but also proud. People bowed to him. Children waved and smiled. Guards saluted. For the first time in his life, Ethan felt like more than a mechanic. He felt like a hero. The next few days passed in peace. Zira spent time with her father, the king, and helped rebuild the government. She spoke to the council, gave hope to the people, and promised to bring balance back to Valari Prime. Ethan was given a guest room in the palace. He explored the city, met scholars, engineers, and leaders. Everyone treated him with great respect. But one evening, as the moons rose in the sky, Ethan sat alone in the palace garden, thinking. Zira found him there. "You look far away," she said softly. "I was just thinking," Ethan replied, "about Earth, about my outpost, about quiet days in the desert." "You miss it?" "A little," he said. "I didn't have much there, but it was simple." Zira looked at him. "You can stay here, you know. You'd be welcome. My people trust you. I trust you," Ethan smiled. "I know, and thank you. But I don't belong in a palace. I fix things, remember?" Zira laughed softly. "That's exactly why we need you. You fix things, even broken hope." She reached into her robe and pulled out a glowing blue crystal. "This is for you," she said. Ethan held it carefully. "What is it?" "It's a star key," she explained. "It allows travel between our worlds. If you ever want to return, use it. The gates will open for you." Ethan looked at the crystal, then at her. "You sure?" She nodded. "It's yours. Just promise me something." "What?" "Don't forget me." Ethan gave her a smile. "Not possible." The next day, Ethan boarded a small ship headed back to Earth. He wore a new suit, a gift from the royal family, and kept the star key in a pouch on his belt. As the ship rose into the sky, he looked down at the city of light, at the towers and gardens, and at the palace where a brave princess stood waving at him from a balcony. He waved back. In his heart, he knew this was not goodbye forever, just a pause in a story that was still growing.